host. Hey there, fellow gamers, and today artists. Welcome back to another episode of Castles and Cocktails, the weekly show where we sit down, relax, talk about game design, have a few drinks. Today it's Mike's Harder Lemonade. And in place of a regular game stream tonight, and also making up for last week where I did not stream at all, or at least not on the right day, we are concluding the Secret of Mana playthrough by doing a drawing from the game. So as I sort of decided to go for, or go with, I guess you could say, I'm going with the screenshot I took of sort of the three characters overlooking the mana tree, and we're going to recreate this. I was originally going to paint it, but decided to kind of hedge between drawing and painting and go with chalk pastels, which is a medium I tend to really like using, but something I also tend to not use a ton and not as much as I should. So I kind of debated with myself a little bit on exactly how I was going to approach this particular piece. Uh, the one thing in particular was that do I want to completely redesign this from the ground up, or I just want to try to do like something of a one-to-one copy? And one thing that I played with this idea is doing sort of offsetting the tree and the figures a little bit, but I think keeping at least relatively true to the original should be relatively fun. So I've got a piece of this particle board or whatever here that I basically recycled out of a old poster frame. It was one of those cheap poster frames you can get at a local craft store. I had it for years, but it's a little bit bowed, so I just cut it down because it was rectangular initially. And what's nice is it has a little hook built into the back, so as long as I uh, don't screw things up and drawing it sideways or something, I can just hang it up right in the game room or office or wherever I normally stream from going forward. In advance, I will say that probably will not be finishing all of this today. This is a very large piece for what I normally do for these post stream drawings after I finish a game. This is a little bit larger than what I would normally do, so I'm probably not going to be doing all of it tonight. I will definitely be getting the layout done and probably getting a good halfway through it at least. So to start out, so this kind of matches the aspect ratio of the original screenshot a little bit better, a little bit wider on the screenshot, but basically taking the initial everything, the colors and everything like that. So this, I actually want to measure this out a little bit. So the tree kind of sits right around the halfway mark. This is a 16-inch square. So the sky comes down. The sky is actually pretty high up. So I want to come down. What 8's my limit for the middle of that? Top of the tree would probably be around 6. So I want to mark that off. This is just a little white charcoal pencil. I'll probably have to turn a fan on here because if not, I'm gonna be sweating like crazy down here. So that'll be the top of the mana tree, which will be about. Let's see, it's kind of that shape. Pops down in there like that. Yeah, especially if we try to do the overlook the way it kind of is sitting. We have that overlook. Round. Not really sure what I'm going to do with the characters quite yet. Have to configure that a little bit. I'm not really good with character stuff, so be interesting to see what I can come up with that. So that comes up and around. The mountains kind of teeter off. right around that line. And it's just sort of a little bit higher than that. What's that, 4 inches down? Come up to maybe 3.5, I think, to the top of those mountains. Okay. These are pretty straightforward. There's sort of just a couple of other larger mountains in here. Things that kind of pop up and around. Rounder, larger ones towards the front. I may end up just making the tree a little bit larger, just to really kind of accentuate out the overall look to the tree. And I want it to seem a lot more grand. So if I actually raise that up a little bit, just increase the size of that. I want to push the actual shape of the tree a bit more, give it more branching out, versus just the blob on top of a stick that it is in the screenshot. There's actually a little bit of a shadow underneath it as well. Then you have these funny rivers kind of wiggling. In and around from there. Okay. That'll give me a decent base. Yeah, I need to turn the fan on. It's hot as hell. Just a little something to blow some air around. Hopefully not enough to blow on the mic though. But if it is, it'll be a thing. Yeah, pretty sure that's out of mic range. It's the upper half of this with the sky. Definitely want to start there. The whole screenshot kind of has this orange tint to it, so it makes for a rather interesting layout. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually think I want to superimpose this image over onto the stream just to make it a little easier to see and everything. So just give me a second and I'll get that over there. Grab a new window. Amazing how streaming just slows everything down. Drop that onto the desktop. And grab an image. There we go. Now that little image there can sit probably down in the corner here where I don't actually need to be showing anything. There we go. That will least be able to see what I'm doing then. At least for you guys. That way I can, when I'm referencing the actual image, it'll actually make sense when I'm doing things. So the sky is really interesting because and like I was saying just before I grabbed that, um, everything is kind of has a little bit of a yellowish tint to it, which is pretty cool. So it kind of I want to start out, I guess, with a bit of a lighter yellow, and then move to sort of that more pale orangish color. And I can't get the colors exactly since I'm working with a more limited set of pastel colors. Well, actually, this color is probably pretty close to that orange. So I'm teetering between the soft pastels as well as some hard ones just to get a better range of colors and everything like that. And this material, I was talking about the material before and completely forgot to keep talking about it to finish up. Talking about whatever the support was. So it's a particle board support with this color from Golden called micaceous iron oxide. Creates this sandy black texture, which is really perfect for pastel stuff, among other acrylic effects with paint and things like that. But makes for a fairly simple start. Color into there and blend it out a little. I primarily will be using finger blending techniques, not so much a fan of a lot of the other blending tools, at least for pastels. And with a surface this rough, I don't really need to worry about utilizing anything other than just basic pastel colors. Yeah, so this color is actually pretty close to, I think, that upper sky. Although, I may super orange with that. What's this red give me? Just seeing where my colors are sitting there. Yeah, that'll be a little too far in that direction. This one is that's a bit more red. We'll use that up to closer up to there. Yeah, I want to get a little bit of white right on the horizon here, just to give the indication of where the actual sun is. Everything else will just orange out. Again, letting myself have a little bit of creative freedom with the colors and the composition, but trying to remotely stay true to the original, just so I don't deviate too far from the image in and of itself. So I actually want to map some of these clouds out before I forget, because if I don't, and just do orange over the whole thing, I might run into some problems. Especially since I sort of have this moon shape up in here, which I also, you know what, where's my circle template? Ugh, this guy. I'm gonna get this up in here. It's pretty good. Make sure I get that shape right. So sort of the half moon up in there. And then just kind of dropping in some cloud shapes, which I don't want to totally, again, don't want to totally lose sight of where those are without causing myself problems. I mean, the edges I can bleed in a little bit, and they should, but the thing with pastels rather than paint is if you layer in the wrong order, you might screw yourself over. And granted, I can erase it, but on this, at least on paper, I can erase it a little bit more. This board is a little bit more I don't want to say finicky, but permanent. So it's important to kind of know where your shapes are. And these are more of a violet color, which I'm actually not sure if I have a good color for those. I might be doing a little bit of extra mixing for those. Okay, that's a little better. That gives me a lot more room to work now. Yeah, this orange is pretty close to what it is in the game, so I'm pretty confident with this. Spreading this around a bit. Halfway up with it, should be good. Just work that straight into the. So I want that nice sort of soft gradient going on there. Looks pretty good. Now, I do want it to lean a little bit more towards this red the further up we go, towards the top, and I'm just gonna really lightly give this a bit of a hit on top, and a little bit to where we're kind of coming down to, but I don't want to totally rub this in. I'm just giving it a little bit of an extra bit of color to blend into. As well, that the solid orange color is kind of nice, but again, I don't want to make it too far to one side. Actually, this brighter orange is going to be a good for a transition. Should have used this one first, but that's all right. All right. Had a little imperfection there with the when I applied the medium down. It's like a dent or something. Or I had maybe a little too much or a little too less. Probably not going to see that red I dropped in there at all, so I might have to be going over it again a little bit with a little bit more, but that's not bad. Okay, going back, more finger blending here. Just lightly just kind of go around where that moon is. I actually just want to graze across where these clouds are. So I want a little color in there, but not a ton. Not covering everything up. This does make my finger feel really weird doing this. But we still want the edges to kind of work, but the more solid structure of the clouds underneath, I want to be sure that we are getting that color in there. Alright. So we got to figure out what we're doing with these sort of purplish colors. Actually, I might lean just towards a blue. That's a gray. No, where's the this guy? Just kind of see what some of these colors look like. That's pretty good. If I mix this with something, this is probably too bright. Yeah, it's too bright of a blue. The violets here. It's not bad. If I mix this and this, and maybe a little bit of a red. Let's see, is that too red for that? Yeah, it's going to be too red for that. This is a brighter one. Not really happy with that either, but I might end up working with it. Okay, so use the. I think the red actually even to start, just get the lower areas where the light would be capturing a bit more. That way that when I start putting in the violet, it won't be as weird looking. There's that flat edge, there we go. I'm probably going to blend the clouds out too. I don't think I would normally, but we're going to have a lot of different varying textures in this, so I actually want to kind of have the sky as more of a simple, flatter image. Okay, that's all I'm going to need of that. Violet. Actually, what I'd say, maybe with the exception of the moon too, because the moon does have to be a little bit more defined. Sorta. See, we're actually a little too blue here. That's kind of what I was afraid of. Actually, might just be going to be using some of that orange again, just to overtop. That's not bad. Could be better, but not too terrible. So what's interesting about pastels among other media is depending on the artist and depending on who you talk to, some people will say that pastels are actually painting. I completely disagree. I think painting has to be wet, not just colorful and smeary. But there's certainly some room for debate since a lot of the techniques in pastel work translate to painting and vice versa. So makes for sort of an interesting bit of media, I guess. I think it's really just up to the artist, whatever they want to call it. But whenever somebody says pastel painting, I'm like, really? I don't think that's painting. All right, let's get the blue in there. Okay. Do a little bit of blending here, not a ton, just enough to kind of soften the edges a little. And I think we are going to go back over with that orange again and detail some of that out. Also, that purple looks really blue on this sort of lighting, which is strange. It might just need a little bit more pushing, that's all. Yeah, kind of like that better. Let's push them up a little bit more. Don't want to make a mess here, though, too, because it'd be really easy to kind of come in here and rework this and make it brown, since there is still some, still some blending taking place, so kind of a thing. Tablet shutting off. That's pretty good. I think I want to get maybe just a little bit of touch of light. Not quite yellow, because I think it would offset the purple a little too much with what I've got going on there, but I want a little extra light underneath them. Just bring up some extra color here. So maybe this might be too far. This probably would work. Let's see. It's closer to that color, so no, I don't want to do that. This one. Yeah, that'll work. Just a little to... Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I want it to be red. Or at least oranger. Crap. This always happens when I'm working with these. The little thing gets off kilter. I lose track of where all those are sitting. Alright, what was that orange? This one. This is the orange that I want to get up in here. There we go. Just a little extra kind of highlighting on those clouds to indicate that light's kind of coming up and reflecting off of there. Especially on the undersides. Not going to be super noticeable probably on camera, but it's there for me. And that's what's important. I'm actually starting to think that since I know this drawing in advance is going to take so long, it may end up being what I do for the stream for the next several consecutive weeks. Since I'm still struggling to figure out which game I want to play next on stream, I figured, well, rather than trying to rush all the way through this piece, maybe it would be good to just split up the drawing stream just into multiple parts rather than, again, trying to do it all at once. Since I've only done a couple, one or two drawing streams to conclude a big set, so it may end up working kind of in my favor to just split it up that way. I'm going to just pull this whole thing off. And start looking at some of the mountains in the background. The sky's pretty good as is. I can maybe to toss a little bit more red down or some pink, something up in here, just to kind of push a little more color into it, but it's not really going to be that necessary, honestly. Just a little bit extra in that blend. Of course, also the first time I put on a layer of fixative on this, I'm going to lose half the color, so although I have to check with my Discord art community to see if they have any suggestions on how to rectify that. Besides just putting it under glass, because that's I don't really have a piece of glass for something like this. Wouldn't really help. Where'd that blue go? Here we go. And more than likely, when I finish, or sort of finish this piece, I'll come back in with both white and black charcoal just to give myself a little extra bit of detail. So like I'll take the pencil and give just an extra layer of something and be sure I can get the details that I want. Or even just coming in as is with pastels and creating that little extra bit of detail that's needed. Actually using a little bit of this white up here in this up at the moon will offset that shape and make it stand out a little bit more from the clouds, which is kind of important. Although this whole segment here doesn't even have to be shown because it's only a crescent, so that it really should be like that. There we go. So the mountains in the back, so they kind of fade to a lighter color, sort of out to that color on the horizon with that gold. At least roughly speaking, then we get a little bit brighter and more saturated as we're coming in, at least according to the reference. So if I just kind of start with some of this color at the back and build on top of that, that'll probably work just fine. It's sort of like a peachish, creamish color. If this was one of my tube of paints, it would be the titanium buff, but I just want to get some lighter start apparently here to get this going in the direction I want it to. Mostly fairly small in the background, at least in terms of big peaks and things like that. Then we'll get into our various browns. Looks like the browns, at least sort of the background ones, are actually a little bit more red. So I can play with some of that. Maybe one of these. This is like a red oxide kind of brown. Actually, I think that's that same color. I'll use the smaller one. And just start working those mountain shapes in. It seems like, well, I mean, again, reference images here. Trying to think about where my shadows should be. We do have our light kind of coming from the center, so I'll kind of focus on having that, but also a lot of my darks seem to be just in the lower reaches of the mountains, and they're kind of more kind of varying striations and things, so let's probably see a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of where a lot of these colors are going to be coming in, and especially the darker shades. See, I think I'll actually go to 7:30, wherever that kind of leads me, and then we'll go into just the regular after show as we would otherwise. And I'll just split this up, this drawing up in between the next few weeks. Because again, I don't want to rush through this, but I also want to give you guys a good show and take my time with this, but also maybe get some games in too. Since Tuesday is sort of my game day. I mean, every day is my game day, but streaming wise, Tuesday is my game day. That looks pretty good for that first layer. Alright, gonna come in with this deeper brown color now and give a little more accents and details to these. That's not bad. It's actually a little redder than I think I'd like. Let's see what this one's like. Is this one the same color? Yep. Absolutely, it's absolutely the same color. Yeah, maybe if I mix these two together, that'll be good. Super defined with that, but let that other brown go. Here we go. I'm just going to get a little extra color into these. And mostly use that other brown, I think. Because this is going to be a little too red for what I need to do. But I got to keep everything consistent, because if I don't, well, that would be a problem, wouldn't it? Weekday non-gaming stream. What is this? I know, it's weird, isn't it? At least until the after show, anyway. Okay. Now, where are we at? The good thing about the background is that it's allowed to be a little less detailed. I don't have to worry about getting every single line right. Especially for that first layer and that first row, because everything's going to be focused on the foreground, hopefully the tree. But our color stuff is kind of right. Get a couple of the darker ones down in here. That's good. I gotta say, I'm actually really happy I'm doing this tonight. Not just because last week kind of got screwed up, but I've had a hell of a past couple of days at work, and I really have needed this just kind of general stress release. I mean, gaming's, yeah, it's a stress release, but not even remotely compared to how I can kind of just let my mind wander and relax into a piece like this. I'll finish this little section of the mountains, and then I'll get the piece a little closer to the camera, so you guys can actually see some of the details in here. Not a ton of them, because there's not a lot of details to show. Also, Justice, you were the one saying like a month ago how you never see me stream art anymore. So meh. I don't know if he's actually listening or it's just has the stream up on like low volume or whatever. But happy to have you here anyway. All right, getting there. Yeah, we're kind of. Yeah, I kind of wish I could show this a little bit better, but like so much of this is just got to get those background areas done first. So there's that darker brown. Here we go. Because this is getting a little bit too distinctive with the other one. Getting a couple of these darker tones in here is always good. And I'll probably come back in with that lighter one again after this, just to kind of get those little extra highlights and make that pop out a little bit more. Actually, even the yellow would probably work, like the sky yellow or this guy maybe. Actually, let me just see real fast. Oh yeah, that's gonna be that one. That's exactly the color I need for that upper highlight. Yeah, actually, gonna probably start pushing some of this brown in the lower sections down in here too, just to start offsetting that. Start getting the indications and ideas of maybe a larger peak coming up in here. Something like that. Ah, crap. And these tend to forget how soft pastels are sometimes. To push even a little bit with them, they start getting crumbly. Yeah, so let's finish this up first before we get too caught up into that next layer. If you're just joining in, welcome to Castles and Cocktails. We're drawing the iconic mana tree, or at least a scene from the mana tree, from Secret of Mana, after my past 12-week playthrough of the game. really excited to be working on it. Hope you guys are enjoying your evening, whether you got multiple streams up or if you're gaming yourself, or if you're just hanging out, relaxing, and watching me draw. Whatever works for you guys. Just hope you're having an awesome day, and if you're not, I'm hope that I'm doing what I can to make it a little bit better for you. Slide that over. Start pushing some of these larger peaks in here. Also, I mentioned before I was going to hold this thing up, and I should do that sometime soon. Yeah, there won't be as many peaks in that second layer, but that's all right. It make the ones on the third and fourth layer of that backdrop to be just a little more defined and present. Okay. All right, let me hold this up a second. Camera's probably not going to autofocus, so it might be a little blurry, but I do want to hold this up just so you guys can see a little bit better of where I am with those mountains and everything like that. So, yeah, there we go. That's probably as close as we're going to get. There we go. So again, it's a little more detailed and both a little bit different than the initial screenshot, but that's sort of the goal for any piece like this. You don't necessarily want it to be a direct one-to-one copy. We're sort of working in the spirit of the original piece without necessarily doing a direct copy. So I'm working up the screenshot. It's going to look similar enough that if you play the game and you know it well enough, or even really if you only played it once because it's a really memorable scene, you'll be able to recognize it. But it won't be so direct that it's. I'm not. But don't want to just be like completely ripping it off. I want to have the freedom to play around a little bit with that. And like I mentioned before, that I'm amping up the size of the tree a little bit more, and may or may not make the figures even smaller than they are, just so I don't have to worry about detailing them. But that'll be a thing probably for next week, because as I mentioned before, probably no chance in hell getting all of this done today. And I do want to shoot some things later, so that's on the list of things to do too. I've been actually really occupied. I'm logging into Apex just long enough each day now to do to get my treasure pack and maybe a couple of achievements. But a lot of my focus right now is focused in on playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, because I hadn't played the game before. I picked it up because I was interested in it when it was released on Wii U, but I didn't have a Wii U. And then Nintendo recently re-released it, and I actually kind of wanted to stream it, but I don't have a capture card, which kind of sucks because I'm enjoying the hell out of the game. Like I sat down for I think an hour. Well, I wanted to sit down for an hour on Sunday. I'm like, let's sit down and put an hour into this and see how this game is. 3.5 hours later, I was like, oh crap, I was supposed to be doing other things today. But it's really a spectacular game, and I'm like a little over 4 hours in now, and I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. So at this point now, like Apex is such a at least a lot of other games now too are really on the back burners. uh, especially with my next one coming up after that is going to be the new Paper Mario Origami King, which I pre-ordered, and that'll be in on I think on the 27th. That ships in or something like that, or it was the 17th. Oh shoot, I'll have to look because it might actually be coming out this week. Um, it's either the 17th or the 27th. It's close. It's in the next 2 weeks. And I was actually talking to Justice online the other night, if you're listening, trying to find a solution for a lower end capture card because I don't want to break my wallet getting one, but I would like to get one. Specifically because there's a lot of stuff on Switch that I would love to stream. I just don't have the capture card for it, um, which sucks. All right, let me get some white because I want to right where this right where the sunspot is. I want it to be just a little bit brighter and kind of fade out the mountains into there. But just in that section where right where that light is, sort of cascading onto the rest of those colors. All right. So this middle area, so in this game screenshot, it's 2 layers of mountains, but I'm gonna do closer to 4 or maybe 3. You can probably get away with 3. Actually, no, there's gonna be a couple in the middle that are gonna offset. So really, I have kind of some options here. So I use this darker brown for that. Grab that. I want to grab this or this one, the oxide red, just to kind of see. So that'll be a lighter color. So I can use that for sort of the upper, at least part of the upper ones, highlights to those. And I really wanted this to kind of blend and cascade into the other mountains. So I'm going to actually be playing a little bit with that lighter color that I had used before to blend that in and together a little bit more. Actually, if I just start with some of this red, I don't need a ton of it actually, just enough to kind of color match to where I was. Because if I've got a thick enough sort of color set now going with the media on the support that I can get away with doing what I would be doing on paint with dry brushing, but just kind of dragging that pastel along in order to just get these sort of streakier sections where I actually don't have to do as much work, which helps. Always nice to be able to not do as much work. And then when I come in with the darker color, it'll just act as a way to kick up that contrast. Yeah, so this layer is coming together a little faster, just because I have that nice brown layer underneath started up already. I don't have to worry about pushing too much of it around. That was a nice thick layer of that sort of umber color that really just makes everything a little easier. And again, we're not pushing this super far from that last layer, just enough to kind of offset that so it's actually a little bit of a second section. Hold up, a little bit over here too. So yeah, a lot of my energy right now is focused on Xenoblade and what will eventually then be Origami King. So I'm pretty excited. With a game like Xenoblade too, like I've needed a game like that for a while that can really just distract me and take me out of the day. Because like Apex will do that, but You know, I'll get frustrated with it uh, sometimes. So it's nice to have an actual solid adventure game that I can just go exploring and do some level grinding. You know. Yeah, it's a decent enough brown for this. It's a little bit more neutral than I think than this umber was. The umber's a lot brighter. This is a little more of a cooler, I guess you could say, brown, which mixed feelings about it. But then I'm probably going to use this or a mix of the two for that other layer of the rocks. And I'll want that upper layer, or the rocks, the mountains, I want that color to be a lot more distinct. I want to push that contrast more, so I'm probably going to be using a black or a deep blue to really push the shadows up on that other layer once we get there. And actually might do it a little bit here, just to have a deep blue here I can work with. Just to push that color in a little bit, to start to give the indication that that's where we're headed, at least in terms of our values in our color. This is really a little bit of a shift in hue that I wasn't expecting with this color, but that's alright. Just work with it as we go. Alright, looks pretty good. I think I can get away with probably the 3 layers, so I'm going to actually push a little bit more of this brown down. And I think I'm just going to go straight into that third mountain layer. Just get a little extra work the valley in here. More of those browns underlying color. That's pretty good. A little bit of finger blending, not a ton. Still keeping the mountains more distinct in terms of their texture. Okay, so this one was there. I think I might have one darker in this set. Unless that's the same, it might be the same. Yeah. Actually, well, hard to say. I think it actually is a little bit browner than that one, which is good, because that's exactly what I need. Actually, what's this one? Ooh, yeah, no, we're using that one. It's actually lighter, but that's okay, because that'll get me a lot closer to where I need to be. Alright, so we've got that one. Where's that ochre? Here we go. Throw that red in there. Highlighting that in. And what was it? This guy. The Golden Earth. Or Autumn Brown. Autumn Brown 2, is that what this is? Autumn Brown 2, yeah. So I have a mix of, the hard pastels are, well, these are new pastels, which Prismacolor, these ones, they bought these guys out, like, I don't know, 20 years ago. These are really old pastels. So, yeah, it's like these pastels are like 35 years old, but most comparative to the Prismacolors. There's also Rembrandt and Blick pastels here, too, if you guys are art nerds and interested in that brand info. That's at least what I use. It doesn't necessarily have to be what you use. Use what works for you. Yeah, so I have a sort of indication of that. And actually, the way I'm kind of having this leading out is there seems to be almost a path coming in here. So I'm going to take a little bit of an artistic liberty here. And I'm going to make some green coming through here, like there's a path of leading through the mountains. And actually, the way looking kind of closer at the screenshot, there is some green that kind of eases up onto the mountains from there. I don't know if that's totally intentional or if that's just some mixed sprite work there. So I have sort of this olivey kind of color, so I'm gonna push a little of that in here, just to start giving the indications of where that grass might come to sit by the time we hit the area here where that green will be. And actually, this olive green is probably going to be what I end up going with, because I have a couple of these sort of olivey kind of colors, which will end up being I think the way we go with choosing colors for our grass. Because a lot of these brighter spring greens, colors like this, are probably going to be actually too bright and vibrant for the overall composition and the way the original screenshot is. And I'm going to try to keep true to those colors where I can. Alright, that's not bad. A little bit in there, maybe. Just, you know, a little something in there. Bit of life hanging out in these mountains. That's there. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, where's this guy? The ogre, yeah, this is probably similar to a yellow ogre. But then that one that's sort of more like the buff, just to give ourselves that extra bit of color. Yeah, I actually really want to get this black on this one. It's a little early for it, but as long as I don't use a ton, just kind of drag that along for that texture. Yeah, that's nice. Alright. Pretty good with that. Okay, so we're getting into this brown color for our last area of the mountains, with where these are going to sit, and just kind of ease down to our baseland. Pushing a little too hard with the hard pastels again. Or any of them, really. It's alright. I've got a lot of them to spare. Okay, now that I just dropped those in, I can already like looking at this, I'm like, wow, this is turning out awesome. Really happy with where this is going currently. So, again, a little bit of an offshoot from the original, but again, I like to, especially when I'm doing a landscape of something from a game, I like to be able to change it just a little bit to see and maybe push things in a slightly different direction with, I don't even know which one that was. Was it this one or that one? I don't know. No, no. God, it could be either. I think it's that one. All right. So, where am I at now? I definitely want to push some more of these reds in here. I also want to get some underlying greens. Wow, that's just actually just crooked. I'm like, is that one broken? No, it's just crooked. I have some, this deeper green I want to work into this underneath as well. So probably these two colors, then some black and some overlying colors for the. Forgot what I was saying now. Later, like the autumn brown, for example, for my highlights. That some of this in there, really to push that contrast up a lot more, and then we can start working in. I don't know if it's. The thing is, I don't know if it's grass or if it's just like forest, because the textures are really kind of all just variations on each other. Based on the fact that there's kind of rivers coming through, I imagine them to just be really small trees because we're really high up on the horizon. But it's kind of hard to tell. So I guess that's our artistic license to interpret this however we kind of want to. We doing on time here? Okay, got another half hour yet before I need to call it a day for the stream, at least the main stream. Again, after show with Apex Legends is probably happening tonight because I want to shoot some shit. Also, another thing with pastels, if you never worked with them before, is this will make your hands very dirty. So keep that in mind, that you will definitely be cleaning your hands at the end of a session. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna get some of these greens in here just to kind of start building that color down and in. The actual screenshot in the game, this section between the mountains and sort of the grass forest, it's actually just blocky. Um, so it's almost like and that, actually that might just be an issue with the screenshot. It might have been more seamless. I may have snapped the screenshot while it was panning down, so it could just be it probably is just artifact impurities. But at least based on the where I'm working off of, it's actually just blocky. So I have a little bit of room to play and interpret that that color a bit, which is nice. Okay, I'm gonna give this a little bit of blend here. I'm gonna be pushing some of that color around a little bit before we start getting to our darks. That one's here. This is more or less the same colors I was using in the last layer, but again, since I'm going to be pushing a little bit more dark into it in a little bit and really pushing that contrast, I'm allowing myself to really just use those same colors without jeez, what the hell's my can there? I know I've got one down here. Maybe not. Did I take it back up? I think I did. Crap. Must only have one can left. Have to put that on my shopping list. Compressed air. diethyl ether or whatever the hell it actually is. Alright, so we're going to take our just black stick here and just push that contrast up considerably. Actually, we'll be just using the whole side of that pastel just to get all these little variations. Similar to kind of how the way you might use a knife in painting mountains in oil or acrylic, but just with a little more dry media finesse, I guess you could call it. So that way, when we go back with the lighter color, probably, what was this light one? This one in the autumn brown, so this will actually really make a little bit more of a difference when we start dropping in that lighter color, especially with where that light's going to hit. I have a little too much pastel in here. I'm actually getting some slightly undesired looks there. That one. And then our light. Again, just pushing that contrast a little more. I actually want that ochreish color, just a little cast lighting or something in here. That looks pretty solid. I'm happy with that. Alright. So now, start kind of looking into some greens. That's going to be too bright. Actually, that's a really deeper color in there, which actually might end up being a pretty good base. And then eventually a shadow in here. What's that one? This olivey color. That's what we were using up in here, huh? A little bit. It's not bad. This color, this color. It's not bad, actually. I might be able to drop all this in pretty quick. Alright, so what we're using here, this, which is also this, and Simbar, and what was the other one? This guy. This deeper green. I'm probably gonna actually rework these rivers based on how the composition's kind of coming together here. So I'm just gonna go right over them, at least where I had them anyway. Okay, I need to peel this back. Actually using a lot more of this than I have paper exposed. here we go. It's got a seam on it. Good. Hope so. Hope it's got a seam on it. There we go. All right. Just gonna give that a light finger blend to just work that into our substrate here. Basically like rubbing your finger on sandpaper. Not the most pleasant feeling in the world, but that. I'm gonna put the Simbar over top of this. Just building a little bit of a lighter color. Now we're cooking with gas. Here we go. And this green on here. The olivey color. There we are. And all that texture is actually coming right off of the substrate, which was I applied this with a knife, I think, or maybe just a big brush and swirled that around. So I'm getting all this underlying texture here, which is really cool. Blending up in here just a little. Oop. Okay. That's pretty good. Oh, what the hell? We might actually finish the whole thing tonight anyway. No, I want to give it more time. I don't want to rush it. But I am surprised this is working with this pastel layer right now with these greens. This is not something I thought I was going to be able to do in a split second. But it just happened to work out well. Another one here. Just that. Okay. Every time I look down, my head's in the way. Trying not to do that, but it happens sometimes. Okay. Same as before, come with the Sinbar and just Sinbar Green Light is what this particular color is called, which I keep calling it that, Sinbar. This won't be the final layer with the grass. I'm going to come in and do some other stuff next week once I've had some time to sit with this. It's pretty good. All right, we have that funny olivey color. Just lighten some things up. and this guy, just to kind of push it all together. Damn, I'm surprised that worked so well. All right, well, this is pretty solid. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to top this at this point because I'm getting hungry. Getting through my, what is this, a 12-ounce can? 16-ounce can. Dang. Mm. Need to eat some actual food soon. So I'll be doing that, I think, in the upcoming bit of time. So unfortunately, no, not getting the entire drawing done in one day. However, I am rather enjoying this process quite considerably. And if I didn't have other things to do and other games and some other things and games I wanted to play tonight, I probably would keep going. But I definitely want to revisit this next week and get back to working on it then. If not sooner, actually, it probably will be sooner, knowing me. But the best thing you can do is keep your evenings open, keep an eye out for me here on Twitch, and because I more than likely will be back to finish this on stream sometime, probably before next Tuesday. So we'll have to see. Keep an eye out on the schedule and things like that. Should be really fun. But man, I got way further on this today than I thought I would. Yeah, so we are a little greener than we probably should be, and actually just realized I probably should have been looking at my screenshot to get the colors right. So I actually might just take this, take that ochre color and just drag it across everything. Should get me a lot more of that yellowy tone that I'm lacking. Oh, that just broke. They might be hard pastels, but they are still soft enough to be soft and workable. That's a lot closer. Yep. Just did exactly what I needed it to do. Was to make that all just a little bit yellower. So again, we still have the tree to work on, which will be sometime in the near future. The mana tree itself, which I'm just going to outline again here, give myself a general idea of what I'm doing with that. Nice big old tree. And then we have the sort of lookout where our heroes will be hanging out. And that will be soon to come as well. But again, not today. Just going to call it before I get too carried away and too far into something and start making mistakes, because that's usually what happens with me, is I'll get too far into something and start making mistakes. So again, I will be continuing this piece sometime in the near future. Keep an eye out on my Twitter for more of this. But for the time being, I need to stop, eat some dinner, and then go shoot some stuff. So in about a half hour, expect me back here. So stick around. I'll be back playing some, at least probably about 40 minutes of Apex Legends before the end of the night for the after show. But in the meantime, though, thanks guys for watching. Keep on. Oh, wow, forgetting what channel I'm on. Keep on gaming and creating if that's something you do. And this has been, and I will see you guys next time and in the after show sometime soon.